Hello, everyone, and welcome to VAC Roundtable number 68. Yes, we're up to that number already. And with us, we have one of our own, a veteran in the cannabis community, but one in the state of Florida, and one that was brought to us by Council Member Al Burns. So, everybody, please welcome Mr. Rob Harmon. How are you today, Mr. Harmon? Can I
I'm
call you
doing great.
Rob?
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, we're just basically going to kick it off and get right into it. So, first question is one we ask everyone, and it's a kind of a multi-tiered question. But how did you originally come to cannabis? When you were you first turned on?
Well, Halloween night of 1984, I think it was, or 85. It could be shy a year there. We went to a haunted mansion, and a girlfriend that I had some dirt weed, picked the stems and the seeds out. I had a little makeshift pipe out of, I think, some type of ham cream bottle or something. Smoked it that night, and then pretty regularly throughout high school, more during the summers. I was more of a surfer stoner in the summers and an athlete during the non-summertime. Then through college, I smoked occasionally, and then when I got out of college, oddly enough, I started smoking frequently. And then ever since then, I've been smoking frequently for the last 30 years.
Thank you for that. Next, we will go up to Council Member Wade Laughter. Council Member?
First of all, Rob, thanks for joining us. In reading your bio, I was quite impressed at your desire and ability to help other veterans. And that's a pretty interesting life choice. Would you be willing to describe or talk to us about what drove you to make that choice to literally give away the work that you're doing? It was a beautiful thing, and I'd love to hear about it. Thank you.
Sure. Strictly, it was out of need. I own a medical marijuana doctor's office. We've been writing recommendations for 5 years. And over the first 2 or 2.5 years being open, I'd speaking to hundreds or thousands of veterans who wanted the opportunity to try for some different type of relief instead of the medicines they were getting from the VA and the typical big pharma. But they didn't have the $285 or whatever it costs to actually get into the medical marijuana system in Florida. That's not good. So we said, after hearing so many people, I just said, hey, well, why don't I just start covering the cost and we'll just see what happens. And it was literally born out of a need to help. And that's where it came from. It's just grown up to where we are now. This is our 26th event this month, and we've done over 700 veterans so far.
Wade, you got a follow up.
I do. Yeah, that's a beautiful statement, Rob. Actually, I was really hoping you would talk more about what drives you personally to want to do that kind of work. If you're willing and open to it, I'd love to hear about it, because we need more folk who are willing to do that. Thank you, Rob.
Well, my dad was in the Air Force. Both my grandparents were in the Marines and the Navy. My brother was in also. And just seeing the anguish and talking to people and hearing their stories and knowing they need some type of help. And I've been a proponent of marijuana my whole life, cannabis marijuana. And I just felt like they needed something, hear in their voice that they don't want to take the drugs that the VA is giving them. But if they don't take them, they feel bad. But then they feel bad because they took them. It was just this vicious cycle. And it just hit me really home to see, especially some of the really young veterans coming back that are on multiple medications, and they're taking their elixir at 11, their elixir at 12. And it just really hit me in the heart. And it's been stuck with me ever since. And I just have this need to help.
Thank you for that. I wish more Americans felt the need to get more active and do so, but thank you for your service during this drug war. Next up will be Council Member Michael Krawitz.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Etienne. It's so great for you to join us, Rob. What you're doing is really important, and it's one of the real, it's silly in the big scheme of things, a doctor's visit being a stumbling block, but when you're on a fixed income and you're having all these bills coming out all the time, and all of a sudden you throw a few $100s on the scale, that can really screw up your scale, right? So, but anyway, the question I had, we've seen in other places, especially years ago, one of our founders and mentors, Dr. Todd McArea, faced a lot of backlash when he wrote recommendations. He was an expert, he was a specialist, and as specialists are, often other doctors will refer, right? So he had all these patients coming to him. Well, evidently that was sort of a red flag at the medical board, and it kicked up a whole bunch of fury of trouble for him. So the question is, have the doctors, by having one doctor write a lot of recommendations for vets, well, first of all, is it a large number? Does it seem like a large number to compare to other doctors just in the system? And if so, has there been any pushback from medical board, the opponents to cannabis, police, anybody like that?
Well, there's right around 800,000 licensed patients right now. We've done just over 7,000. So we've done about 1% of them, but I have one location with one store and one doctor. And we haven't had much at all. When we first opened up 5 years ago, a lot of my advertising was really blatant smoke weed type of advertising. I'd put signs out in advertising that said smoke weed legally, come see the doctor. So that drew a little bit of attention to the authorities. And I did have an undercover come in, went through the whole process, sent his new patient docs in with all his medical history, came in, went through the process, and he was in the interview. He said to the doctor, "No, I don't got nothing wrong with me. I'm just here to get high." So the doctor stopped immediately, came out, he got me, and he said, "Hey, listen, this guy's just here to get high." So we said, "Listen, this isn't the place for you. You need to leave. We're giving your money back immediately because it's 100% money back guarantee, and leave." And at that point, he pulled his badge out, and we haven't seen anything at all besides that. There is basically zero oversight with the Florida Health Department. I've never had anyone come in. There's doctors out there writing prescriptions for people that they've never even seen before. There's zero oversight, zero places to complain. So really, no, we haven't had any issues whatsoever, except for that original one 5 years ago. And I think it was just because of my blatant advertising, which is good.
Well, there's always going to be someone, and given how crazy Florida can be, I guess you can count your blessings that it was only limited to that situation. But I can, that they're going to test you definitely to see what you're capable of, or if you're for real or not, right? All right, next up will be Michael Davis, Councilmember Davis.
Yeah, hey Rob, thanks for joining us, man. I'm one of those veterans you're talking about, man, with the pills and everything else. So I had to, do the cannabis thing, and ever since then it's changed my life. So it's good what you're doing down there, man, and you got to keep it up. My question is your offer to veterans for a one and done, or can they get help from you every time that they need a new card?
Well, unfortunately, it is a one and done now. We do pay for their original state fee, which is $77.75, which pays for their actual card itself. That's an annual fee. I cover that. And then their doctor's visit, typical doctor's visit in Florida is around $200. So I cover that also. Now in the state of Florida, every 7 months, you have to come back and get a renewal of your prescription. At that point, future plans is to be able to cover those for those veterans. But right now, budget wise, I just can't do it. We're not doing renewals at the time because the new patient is the highest entry level cost wise into the market. So that's why we've kind of targeting that area there. But we plan to do renewals based on how much money I can raise. But so to answer your question is no, it is one and done, but they have at least 7 months of free time.
Thank you for that. Next up will be Councilmember Peggy Jones. Peggy.
Good evening, Rob. Thank you so very much for joining us. My question is, do you feel homegrown will be therapeutic for veterans' mental health?
Absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of it. We had a small ballot or measure trying to get it on the ballot here. It went nowhere. I don't know if you guys heard about it. I was like 25% of the actual total money that was put in. It was only like $4,000, so it didn't really go anywhere. But yes, I think it will. I have experience growing, and it does great for me. It's cathartic. I can kind of forget about everything in my life and sit there, and I'm in control of all of it. And there's all the exterior stuff around me is gone. So I think that it could really, really help tremendously.
Thank you for that. Next up would be Council Member Mary. Oh, pardon me. Wade has a follow up before I get to the next one. Council Member Laughter.
Yeah, Rob, I share your enthusiasm, my point of view about the importance of the opportunity for home grow. Do you have, sorry, this is a question, I know it's not on our list, but do you have any sense at all of what's the possibility that Florida would approve home grow for medical users? Any sense of that at all?
Well, it will not 100% be on the 2024 ballot. So if possible, the earliest soonest would be on the 2026 ballot. And the way it takes time to implement stuff would be 2027 maybe. So we're a long way out. We're, not political. We're just a red state. I'm not being political, but we're a red state. So that's why we're so far behind, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, you also don't have the initiative process to necessarily take things forward. That's more of a west of the Mississippi type of politic, whereas some states on the East Coast do allow, but then the legislatures can amend that. Unfortunately, Florida is not one of those states. And yeah, it's unfortunately going to be a long process. But this is also why we talk and we teach people to early on, when they have the availability, when the legislative process is happening, is to make sure home grow is part of your laws as they get implemented. Otherwise, as you see from Florida and others, or like Washington, that they could lose it, and they're finally a decade later just getting it back on its legislature for an attempt to get home grows going in the state of Washington. So it's a process, no doubt, Rob, and we hope that you're able to arrive there. But if you are able to arrive there, if you are able to get growing going in there, would you spread out then to being able to provide clones and genetics to veterans, other people? Yep. Would that be a possibility?
Yeah, I've owned the .com for a long time. It's called Home Farms with a PH, where we teach people. We give them a setup. We teach them how to do it. We tell them how to feed them. I can actually even set up a little remote camera where I can watch it, so I don't have to go by. So yeah, I have this whole plan to alter our business plan once recreational comes, but I'm not sure when that's coming at this point.
Are you using zipper little rooms, or are you setting up rooms, or are they little pods? How are you teaching people to set up?
Just tents, anything from a 2x3 to an 8x8 or 8x10 to how extravagant you want to get.
And how are you dealing with the humidity there in Florida? I know that can be a problem with some genetics. So how are you teaching people to handle that?
It's really tough. You just have a lot of inflow and a lot of outflow of air, and try to get some lights that, the LED lights are a lot better these days instead of those old high pressure sodiums that were so hot, and the metal halides even were hot. So it's just, don't go too much light and try to get too much huge harvest, and you'll be okay.
That's some great education, especially with the LEDs. And why he's saying LEDs, for those who aren't aware, is the previous lights, high pressure sodiums and metal halides, would literally cause, they have a heat give off of the lamp as well as the ballast. So you would literally have to have the ballast separate from the light in the room, and then you'd literally have to ventilate that lamp so that the heat would be transferred out. Otherwise, it can raise your temperature in your room 20 degrees. And as you know, that can literally just erode any of the medicinal or the terpene quality that you're searching for on your genetics. It will literally evaporate it. Wade, first up, Nate Landau has a follow-up. Nate?
Hey, I just wanted to make sure I understood you correctly. I know that the ballot initiative is in the Florida Supreme Court, and you said that it wouldn't appear to maybe 2026. Has that court case been decided now? Or you're just talking about homegrown? Huh?
Yeah, I was talking about the home grow. They last month they argued in front of the state's attorney because the state's attorney said that they're misleading people again, the same thing that they did in 2022 to not get on the ballot. They've been through the Supreme Court. All their signatures were validated. They're up over 1 million. They were ready to go, and then all of a sudden, the state's attorney has a lawsuit. So they argued last week or 2 weeks ago, and supposedly by April 1st, they're going to have a word whether they're allowed to get on the ballot or not.
And that's for 2026. Okay.
That's for 2024.
2024. Okay. All right.
Yeah, for recreational. The home grow is it's the MSOs weren't real supportive of it, which didn't help. And in Florida, everything's a single initiative, so it couldn't have been attached to the recreational because it's single initiative.
Right.
And
Has to be right.
And it's a lot of money for each initiative, and we just didn't quite have that money.
Yeah, because of what it costs for getting signatures and all of that. It's a real world cost. Councilmember Laughter with his next follow-up.
Actually, it's more of an observation. I love that, Rob, I love that you brought up the importance of lighting and controlling outbreaks of mold and whatnot in high humidity situations. LED lighting is really a new and exciting area of indoor cultivation. One of the challenges of the old high pressure sodium metal halide lights is about 90% of the electricity that you're using in those old lights is coming into your room as heat, not light. 90% is heat. So there is a big deal about how to be more appropriate with your use of electricity. The other comment that I wanted to make got out of my head. I forgot. Oh well, I'll have a puff and think about it.
We've all been there.
There you go. Puff and tell. Next up will be Marilyn Mathry.
Hi, Rob. Actually, the first question is, where are you located in Florida?
The store's in Castleberry. It's just north of Orlando.
Okay. Question here is, for future plans for Veterans for Cannabis Care, what's your top priority and what's next on the list to implement? Along with that, have steps planned out for all to be implemented at once or in stages?
Okay. Well, the immediate future today is just to continue my monthly events, try to move to maybe two events a month based on financing, of course. Near future is to raise more money and be able to do the renewals also, so it's not a one and done thing so we can continue to offer them care. Moving forward through that, the next step was to find a facility to be able to grow and implement our growing and our formulations and our job skills and our counseling and all that. That's later on down the road, and of course that's all based on how much money I can raise. So hopefully we'll get there. We'll get there. Just going to be a road. We'll see how long it's there.
It's a good plan. I asked the question because I'm in Virginia, and the property I have, I'm looking to turn it into a place for vets to grow cannabis and and do some healing, a retreat type place. We're on the river. It's a great place. But yeah, funding's the key.
And Florida's made it really easy because it cost me $35 for my hemp nursery license and $0 for my hemp cultivation license. So they make it easy for people to be able to get into it. They're looking for a new industry because the orange industry is pretty much gone here in Florida. So they're looking for some type of new thing, and they're just helping people do it. But for $35, it's a pretty good investment to get into. I grow 1,000 plants for $35.
Wow.
Yeah.
And having Florida.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, is that the limit? 1,000?
No, that's the minimal.
Oh.
And that's for a home grow at your house.
The minimum is 1,000?
Up to 1,000 is what I can do at my house because
Okay.
of that house, and it's a small nursery.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sea of Green style. Sea of Green. Councilmember Laughter.
So, Rob, this is a fascinating conversation. Am I to understand that under law in Florida, you can have up to 1,000 plants, and they have to be indoors? Is that what I understand? And they have to, at least some portion at some point in their life cycle, test as hemp as versus having too much THC. Would you help clarify that for me, please?
Sure. So yeah, the hemp license, I could go up to 1,000 plants at my house. There was no prerequisites. The Department of Agriculture came out to my house, looked at the location. There is no rules on indoor or outdoor. It just has to be secured. So as outdoor, there just has to be a fence around it. Indoor, there is no quality control, no anything. So they make it pretty easy for it. And then the last part of the question was, I'm sorry, what was the last part of the question again?
Well, I guess really what I want to know is how often are they testing for cannabinoid content?
Right,
Well,
yeah.
Because,
Well,
hemp
2
quickly-
weeks, 2 weeks before you're supposed to harvest, they come out and they take a sample.
So they
and
take
then
one sample from your 1,000 plants. You get to
I-
pick the one. How does
I
that
haven't
work?
been, I haven't been to 1,000 plant harvest or any harvest at all at that point, so I'm not totally sure. I don't know if they do it like the cannabis they will, and they take 10%. I'm not sure exactly how they do it. And then you get 5 times that you can fail if your THC level or your Delta 9 level is too high. You get 5 chances to, get out of jail free card, I guess you should say, before they either suspend your license or take it away. I'm not sure really what the penalties are for it, but you have up to 5 oopses.
I'm really stunned at the openness of this regulation. Thank you, Rob. There's some
You're welcome.
hope.
Yes.
Councilmember Landau, you're next.
So this is only for hemp. From my understanding, if you wanted to do this for what we call cannabis plant, it's a lot more complicated to get a growing license.
Yeah, there's currently only 22 vertical licenses in the state. And one sold recently for $50 million. So it's a very small entry, and they just had an application process in April where they're giving out, I think, 30 more licenses, and we should see the next few coming out recently, but they haven't given out any licenses in 5 years. So it's a really tough market.
Is it going to be the current people, are they going to benefit from the adult use, or will it be opened up for others?
The people that currently have the licenses are going to be automatically grandfathered in, which I'm not sure why they think they're able to do that, but they are.
They lobbied to make sure that it was that way, basically.
Money.
Usually how that works, unfortunately, which is, again, why we teach people to be diligent and keep an eye on your legislatures, because they will circumvent the will of the people if they have the opportunity to. We've seen it on other issues, and they definitely will on cannabis. We're seeing it currently happening in Ohio as we speak. Councilmember Jones with the next question.
Do you have any plans to expand to other states to help veterans get their medical cards, or are you specifically focused where you live and your
I'm specifically focused here now. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but it's all based on money. Everything could change with a nice big fat check. So I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. As much as I can do, as many people as I can help, that's really the goal.
Peggy with a follow-up.
And I know nonprofits, it's very difficult for you to get funding, especially for something like cannabis with the stigmatism it has based around it. Do you have any financial, do you do financial checks on veterans before they apply, or have any rules where?
No, it's just, and there are people, probably veterans coming in that could afford it. I agree, but that's a whole nother process, and we don't like to judge. We have a no judgment zone once you walk through the front door, so it doesn't matter at that point. If we're going to help you, we're going to help you.
There you go. All right. Any other questions for our guest tonight? Mary Lynn Mathry.
I had the question and then it just went out of my head. Oh, shoot. I'll think of it in a little bit.
I go there all the time.
It happens to the best of us. Again, let's see. Any other follow-up questions at this time? Are you originally from Florida, Rob, or did you settle in Florida?
I settled in Florida when I was in 9th grade. So in 81, I moved here. I was from Pennsylvania.
So it was a parental choice. So wow. Going from Pennsylvania to California isn't necessarily to Florida isn't a bad,
No.
transition for, going from the snow to absolutely no iteration of snow whatsoever.
I live in Ohio and it's snowing right now, and I agree.
I'm not a cold person.
Yeah, I can see why not. I'm from Louisiana, so I feel you. Councilmember Laughter with the next question.
Yeah, Rob, not to change the subject on you a bit, but would you be willing to talk about your time in service and how it sounded like you might have started consuming cannabis before you entered the military? How did it work for you being in the military? Were you there during the time of drug testing, et cetera, Val? We're all veterans here, so tell us about your story, my brother. Thank you.
Well, I'm not a veteran. I just help veterans. So maybe there's some confusion. I'm not a veteran.
His family.
Just family, yes.
Yeah, his
Well,
family.
You certainly seem to come across as a veteran in your concern for those of us who have served.
Everyone says that. Everyone thinks I'm a veteran.
Well, there you go. See, it doesn't mean you have to serve to help out veterans.
There you go.
As well as we all find our peace and our place in different places, and some of us find service in our country by raising our right hand. Others find service to their country, and exactly what Mr. Harmon is doing is helping out those less fortunate and making their lives a little brighter while he can with what he can. So
Yeah, that's a real nice, thanks for your service. It's one that means something when you say thanks for your service. So
Yeah,
we
well,
appreciate that.
we typically say now, thanks for your sacrifice, because one of our Veterans Day, a veteran came in and said, hey, you get service at a restaurant. I sacrificed. So now we always say, thank you for your sacrifice. So.
Well, thank you very much. That's what we do. Councilmember Mathry, were you able to recall your question?
No.
Any other further questions for our wonderful guest here tonight? All right. Well, seeing no others, I will thank Mr. Harmon for coming out tonight and sharing about what he is doing in Florida. Do you have anything we want to let people know how to get hold of you, how to get in touch with you? Is there anything, any events that you've got come up that you would like to promote?
Yes, we do have an event on the 30th. It's a Tuesday. I think I have 3 or 4 spots left. They always fill up really quick. So if you want to call 800-803-8525, they'll take you through the whole process, get you on the schedule, and get you ready to come in on the 30th.
And the 30th of
January, and they're always the last Tuesday of every month.
There you go, the last Tuesday of every month. So that will be happening throughout 2024, Mr. Harmon.
Yep, and I want to thank our sponsors, the Flowery and Preferred Gardens, this month that's sponsoring our event. They're also a veteran-owned company.
Right on. And as the veteran-owned oldest dispensary in the United States, we salute you and appreciate what you do as well. It's not easy work, as well as stepping out there and taking the chance within your community is also one of the most rewarding experiences, because once you kind of take that blind step over that cliff, you'll be amazed at how many hands will reach up and lift you and carry you right along. So thank you, Mr. Harmon, for joining us tonight and for what you continue to do there in Florida. And
Hey, Rob, can you give that number again, the phone number again?
Yeah, it's 800-803-8525.
Okay.
There you go. Well, thank you, everybody. I would like to thank our council members, Nate Landau, Kendra Soul, Mary Lynn Mathry, Brian Buckley, Mike Davis, Michael Crowitz, Wade Laughter, Peggy Jones, and myself, Etienne Fontan. Thank you very much for joining us for VAC Roundtable number 68. Mr. Rob Harmon.
Thank you.
Good night.
We appreciate it.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20 is so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420 enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at Pace Radio.